Hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Daria, and today we're going to do an exercise for your lower back. For today, you're going to need a blanket or a towel. You can also use a foam roller or just use a rolled up mat. We're going to look for a diameter or height of approximately 12 centimeters. And whatever you use, just make sure it's tightly rolled so you get enough support for your lower back. So grab your prop and let's get started.
So let's begin to roll our pad or whatever you have, a blanket or a towel. And now let's sit towards your roll. Bring your roll as close to your low back as you can. And begin to recline onto your elbows. Feeling the pelvis on the floor. And feel a light stretch in your low back. And lift your pelvis and lay down on your back. So the roll is at the very lowest of your low back, where your lumbar spine connects to your sacrum. We're not doing anything here, just relaxing the arms along the body, observing the sensations in the low back. Maybe there's a light stretch, a mild discomfort, or maybe there's no sensation yet. It'll be different for everybody, but we will be feeling the small of the back, the lumbar spine. And this is a safe exercise for the back. It's therapeutic. It creates space between each vertebra, and the roll provides the support for the low back, applying pressure and encouraging a bit of heat. Continuing to breathe, relax, and observe. And now let's bring your hands onto your low ribs and begin to make your low back heavy. And that means you're going to activate the muscles, the abdominals, switch your core on, so the low ribs move towards the knees. Now bring your knees and ankles together and begin to point them to the right. If it were a clock face, you'll be pointing your knees to 1 o'clock. Applying more pressure onto the right side of the low back, but continue to breathe. Bring your knees back to the center and point to the left. To 11 o'clock. Making the left side of the low back heavy, feeling that area. Observe what it feels like, where it is in contact with the roll. Directing each exhale to the area where you feel those sensations. Bring your knees back to center and point them to the right, to 1 o'clock again. And these light twists just help us to release that area further. And gradually bring your knees back to center and then to 11 o'clock. Continue to breathe, continue to make that low back heavy. The center of the body is taut, but not strained, so that we can still continue to relax, to breathe fully. Knees to center, to the right, to 1 o'clock. To the center and to the left. Knees and ankles together. Back to center. Spread your feet and your knees hip distance apart. Now holding on to your roll, just slide your low back down towards the floor without lifting anything off. And just relaxing here, so not making our torso heavy just yet. Just feel the sensations on this level and feel that curve of the low back around your roll. Continuing to direct each breath into the area of the low back where you experience the sensation. Don't be afraid of mild discomfort here. Continue to breathe. Bringing your hands onto your low ribs again, pointing your low ribs down towards your thighs. And you can use your hands to check if those low ribs slid into the belly so they're not pointing upwards. Begin to make your low back heavy. Knees and ankles together, and guide your knees to 1 o'clock. Inhaling into your chest, keeping the low ribs low, the belly engaged, and the exhale into the low back. Come back to center. Guide your knees to the left to 11 o'clock. Soft, calm breathing. And the sensations might be different depending on the side. And if the sensations are quite sharp on one side than the other, then it just means you need to spend there a little bit longer to work through that tension. Or maybe both sides are even. Knees back to center and to the right. Keeping that tautness in the center of the body. Breathing, observing, using each exhale to release the tension in the lumbar spine. Pointing the knees to the left once more. Breathing and relaxing. Knees back to center and to the right. Now back to the left. And slowly back to center. Spreading your feet hip distance apart. And if the sensations were quite intense on this level, then you can just stay here. Otherwise, slide even lower down. So now the tops of the buttocks are touching the floor. Maybe your pelvis is on the floor already as well. So just relax here without feeling and becoming heavy. Just breathe. Be conscious of your breath, of the low back, of your pelvis. And begin to become heavy, gliding your low ribs into the belly, directing them towards the knees, allowing your torso to become taut, pressing your pelvis down and pressing your back against the roll. Moving your knees to the right, ankles and knees together. And if we want to relax here, we need to move through these sensations without shying away from them. Back to center and to the left. And we're not in denial about the state of the low back. We're just observing it and we're working with it. Knees back to center and to the right. Continuing to breathe and relax. Relaxing your lumbar and your sacrum with each exhale. Knees to center and back to 11 o'clock. Releasing the left side of the low back. And it allows our low back to become freer. We're getting rid of tension, potentially alleviating any pain if you do this exercise regularly. Knees to the right to 1 o'clock. And if you started off with having quite sharp sensations, then the more you practice, the less bright those sensations will become. The tension will go away and you'll feel the freedom in the low back. Knees to the left. Back to center, spread your knees, hip distance apart. And now if you can, lower down even further. So now the pelvis is firmly on the floor. So don't expect to be able to do this from your first attempt. You're always welcome to stay in the previous position. And with practice, you'll be able to get to this stage at some point. So just relax here. And then allow yourself to become heavy around the roll, glide your low ribs down, switching the core, pointing your knees to the right. Knees back to 11. Your low back is safe now. It's being supported with the roll and with your abdominals, with your core, with the muscles of your diaphragm, of your pelvis. Knees to the right. Knees to the left. Knees back to center, spread them hip distance apart. And now holding onto your roll, slide yourself back towards the top of the head. And we're in the same place where we started. The buttocks are not on the floor anymore. And then lift your pelvis into a variation of bridge to remove your roll. And then lower your hips down, keeping your spine in this natural curve. And then let's inhale and come up into a bridge to switch the low back on. To activate the muscles and relax your glutes here, pressing instead of your heels onto the balls of the feet and the inner arches of the feet. And then slowly lower down. So we're supporting the low back after we've relaxed it. And now making your pelvis heavy, hands on low ribs, switch the core on and lift your feet up. This will help us to connect the movement, to bring that pressure from vertebra to vertebra. So you might feel slight pressure in the middle of the low back. This is stabilizing that central line. It's like we're inserting the low back into its place. Bring your feet down, move your hips away from you, straighten the legs, and relax, laying down in Shavasana. Let's enjoy this short rest here. We've done some great work with the low back. Well done. And you can stay here for as long as you wish. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I hope you enjoyed that. I would absolutely encourage you to do this as often as you can, and then you will feel gradually the tension go away. Thank you.